This is my 2021 Nissan Navara NP300, and in this video I'm removing the bed liner because I want to fix a hole in that corner. So I wasn't intending to film this. I didn't think removing the bed liner out of one of these justified a video, but I've just had a look on YouTube and there are some others on the Navara with a different sort of liner, and they've had thousands of views, so clearly people are looking up this sort of thing. So I'll film this as I go along. So this is a 2021 model with the factory bed liner, and it also has obviously the side rails, as you can see there, but the bed liner hooks in underneath the bodywork here and doesn't roll over the top, so consequently I think these are a bit more awkward to get out. So first off, I've removed the 6 tie-down hooks from around the bottom and they're simply bolted on, but there are 2 different lengths of bolts which caught me out because I was just throwing them in a tin as I go along. But I think the 2 tie-downs on the back of the bed there next to the cab have the longer bolts, and then all the rest have the shorter bolts. And then obviously you've got to remove the 3 aluminium rails which go around the top of the bed, and these are held on with T40 Torx bolts. And these have washers on the back, and most of the time the bolts will fly out and then the washers will fall into the bed of the vehicle. So as you can see, the black metal washer goes on the inside, and then you've got this plastic retaining washer which should ideally stay on the bolt thread like that. And those can disappear down the back of the lining. And then just here and here is a screw, so it has a plastic cap on the top, so you've just got to prise that off with a screwdriver, and then you've got a very short Phillips screw, and in my case it had a rubber washer against the lining and then a metal washer on top of that, and then the screw like that. So now when it comes to pulling the tray out, you can't release it from the sides too well because that is going up under that rail a little bit. That's why these are a bit more difficult than the ones that roll over the top, I think. So I'd imagine I want to pull it up in the middle to try to drop the sides down a little bit, but by the looks of it, this is stuck along here. It is. There is double-sided foam tape along here, so we've got to pull this up and tear that tape. So when it comes to putting this back down, we're going to need some 20mm or 25mm self-adhesive foam tape. I've just gone onto Amazon and bought a 5-metre roll of tape myself, so I can stick that down tomorrow morning. And also yesterday I removed this, and the same is under this edge, so I need to replace that as well. So I thought I might be able to lift this up in the middle, and that might drop the sides down, but it just isn't budging. I'm not sure whether it's stuck down more here, but there is no give in this liner at all. None at all. It just doesn't budge. So what I'm going to have to do is have a go at the sides. So I'm going to have a go at getting the sides free, but even though that edge doesn't go up beyond this lip very far, even with plastic tools I can't lever that out. I've also noticed there's adhesive in there and down in there as well. So I do wonder how much of this is stuck down. So you can get this liner free along the edges by using a wide flat plastic tool and prising it out, but it does bend this metal lip and it may well be taking the paint off. But anyway, once you get it going, it's then easy to pry it out. Well, to a fashion, Yeah. Ow. That corner is very stiff still, and it traps your fingers. Because this liner is so stiff, I'm struggling to get this side out from underneath the bed rail there. So I've put a fan heater on it and I'm warming it, and I'm hoping it becomes a bit more malleable. But even so, on this side where I have got the side out, it's not budging. I think this is stuck down here, because that is not moving at all. So I do wonder whether I am going to be able to get this out. Certainly warming it helps. I've managed to get that side out without using the plastic tools and just using my hands. It was still stiff, but it made this just a little bit more flexible. It gave it a 1 or 2 millimeters more flex, which allowed me to get it under this edge without ruining the paint too much. But it's still very stiff. I'm just warming this corner now to see if I can get it out from there. There, that corner's now out and lifted up a little bit. So I'll just put the fan heater on that corner and see if I can do the same there. Removing this liner is so much more awkward than I thought it was going to be. I thought I'd be able to undo the fixings, the rails and the tie down hooks, and then it would slide out. Clearly not the case. I'm starting to wonder whether I should be bothering doing this. But let's see if I can get this corner out and then we'll reassess it. Right, that's that corner free. I've also just noticed there's self-adhesive tape all along this edge as well, but none of that seems to be sticking to the bodywork there. So the sides are now free. This back edge is free. I can lift it all a little bit here, so all of this area is free, but it's all along the floor here where it just doesn't budge. There is no movement at all in the floor, so I think there's a lot of adhesive along the back here. Oh dear, this is getting really awkward now. It's worse than I thought. So if we look under there, can you see all that adhesive? So there is a silicone type adhesive, by the looks of it, along the whole length of the rails, and that's what's holding it down. So I've got to try to break that. But if that's going down the full length of the body, I'm just not going to get to it. So on closer inspection, it looks like that sealant is on every second ridge, and it goes to about here. So it's up to sort of the wheel arches. So I should be able to go along there, forcing the bar through the sealant, tearing it on each one, and eventually we should get this out. So I'm using 2 long breaker bars here, the angle one to lever up the liner, and then I'm using a flat one to run along the bed of the sealant, tearing it apart. And with this bar I can hear it cutting through that sealant. The issue is though, is that bed will sort of reseal itself when it drops back down, so we're still going to need quite a bit of levering, I think, to get that out. But by the looks of it, that's finally freed it. So I'm going to see if I can slide it out on those breaker bars, which I can. That's now a lot more manoeuvrable. It's just caught in that corner again. Anyway, that's now coming out finally. there we go, that's the lining out. But I was starting to regret starting this job. But anyway, I'm glad I recorded it now because I'm sure this video will help others. And there's the bed, and you can see where the adhesive is. So when I put the liner back in, I'll just put some new adhesive down on the alternative ones, and that will stick it down there as intended. And you can also see where all the tie-down hooks mount. They're on these pretty large brackets and aluminium blocks there. Just there. More brackets along the sides, or along the end there. So yeah, that's quite interesting. And it's quite dirty under here, so I think I might pressure washer this before I put the liner back in. But I've done all of this just to fix that hole there. But that was annoying me. And because it's pushed in, I couldn't really fix it from the other side without sort of just filling it with some sort of black silicone, which I didn't really want to do. So I'm going to try to warm that, mould that back, glue it, but also put some hot staples in from this side, so it should be then flush from the other side. It's just one of those little things which was bugging me. But if I'd have known how awkward it was to remove this liner, then I probably wouldn't have bothered, and I'd have just done a repair from the inside. But anyway, I suppose that's why this video is going to help others, because it's not particularly easy to remove this. Around 94% of the viewers of this channel are not subscribed. I'm sorry to ask, but it would help greatly if you would. Just press the subscribe button. It's free and it shows YouTube you like this vehicle related content. If you want to be notified when new videos are released, click on the bell button also. Thank you. It really helps more than you would imagine. Also, there's some part number stickers here, if that helps you. It's the version obviously with the tie down hooks. We've got part number sticker there and another sticker there. So to repair this hole in the liner, I've warmed this with a heat gun and managed to push that back down, so that's pretty much flush. And then I'm going to use some hot staples and embed that into the plastic to give it a bit of strength, or I might use this wire mesh and embed that into the plastic with a bit of heat. But I think these will be stronger, so I'm going to go around the split all the way around, embedding some metal into the plastic there. So if you've not seen a hot stapler before, it's basically this little gun. It puts electricity through the wire and that will then start glowing red like that. You push it into the plastic, give it a little twist and then pull it out. And that embeds that bit of wire into the plastic and it really gives it some strength. And then when those staples have cooled down, you just snip off the wire legs with some cutters, and then I run over it with the angle grinder as well, just to smooth out any bits of metal because they tend to be quite sharp. So it then looks like that, but I made a mistake here. The plastic was thinner than I thought, and I actually pushed one of the staples too far and it's gone all the way through. So I'm going to have to tidy this up and melt a bit of plastic into there. And then using that flat end on the gun with a new plastic rod there, I've melted that new plastic all over the repair. So I think that's done. So I'm pretty much ready to put this liner back in. I've given it a wash and there's where the hole was. And I have melted some plastic on this side to give it a bit of strength and fill in those tiny little holes. And that doesn't look too bad. You would hardly notice that was there. And I've washed the bed out, so that's nice and clean now. And I've also sprayed some paint over the scratches that I've made with the breaker bars. So that's pretty much ready to put the liner back in. And I have bought this, which is Sikaflex EBT Plus. And this is a adhesive which stays flexible. So I think it's pretty much the same as what was down there already. So as this is still tacky, I'm just going to run a bead on top of that. So it'll probably merge into that a bit. But if you aren't going to buy anything, then that may well stick the liner back anyway, because it remains tacky, so it might be doing its job. But I'm just going to add a bit more, and I'll add a bit more to the sides. And I'll also add the self-adhesive foam tape along there and along the top at the back there. And then finally, I'll just mention the two different lengths of bolts that the tie-down loops use. And I'd got that wrong originally. I assumed the long bolts were going to go at the end, but they don't. They go through the aluminium block, and you'll soon realise that when you try to put a short bolt in there, it won't find its thread. So the short bolts go on all the metal brackets, and the long bolts go on those two aluminium blocks. So that's it for this video. If you've liked it or found it useful, please do click the thumbs up. That really does help. Do subscribe to the channel, and if you want to see more videos on the Nissan Navara, in the video description below is a link to a playlist where you can see other videos I've made, and more are coming soon. Okie doke, I'll see you on the next one. The videos I make on this channel are primarily to help others and share knowledge. If you found a video helpful, please show your appreciation by at least clicking the thumbs up button, and leaving a comment also helps too, as does subscribing to the channel. All of this is free of charge. I do not use paid memberships or Patreon, which is how most YouTubers earn their money. I only earn from the YouTube ad commissions. But under every video on this channel is a super thanks button. So if you found a video particularly useful, or maybe it saved you money or time, then please consider a donation using the super thanks button. You could buy me a coffee, a pint, or contribute to the running cost of this channel. There's over 1100 videos on this channel now, so please have a browse, use the search, and have a look at the playlists.